Hi everyone, my name is Charlie Cole, and today I'm here with Gia Gambino, who is a senior at the Hewitt School in New York City. She's a co-chair of the Riley's Way Youth Advisory Committee, a Riley's Way Council member, and a 2020 Call for Kindness Fellow with her project Rise, a nonprofit working to support those with learning disabilities.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and talk with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy we can have this little interview, and I have some questions prepared, so let's just
That's
get right into it.
awesome.
So my first question is, how long have you been involved with Riley's Way?
Yeah, so I started working with Riley's Way when I was a freshman in high school, so this is my fourth year.
That's amazing. So have you had a lot of different roles at Riley's Way? Has your roles progressed?
Yeah, definitely. I've had a lot of awesome experiences and opportunities through Riley's Way. When I was a sophomore in high school, I started working as the co-chair of the Riley's Way Council. I was also a Call for Kindness judge that year, and then when I was a junior last year, I was the co-chair of the council. I was also That's when I became a Call for Kindness fellow with my project Rise, and this year I'm working as the co-chair of the Youth Advisory Committee.
That's amazing. So what inspired you to create Rise?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up having a learning disability. I have dyslexia. So I had this understanding and I have a lot of experiences from growing up of feeling a little less than my peers, especially in middle school and lower school. And I grew up when I didn't really understand what it meant to have a learning disability. I grew up with this understanding that I wasn't as smart as them, I wasn't as confident as them, and I just didn't have the same capabilities or potential as my peers. So it was that experience that I had early on in school that I had to work hard to kind of get past, and also the misconceptions that I grew up listening to and hearing around me. So like misconceptions such as like learning extended time isn't fair, for example. So like I remember at the end of middle school, my school did this activity in our school gym where they would ask these questions and you would go to the side of the gym with your response. So like one side of the gym would be I agree or the other side would be I disagree. So the statement was, do you think learning disabilities or do you think extended time is fair? And the majority of the people participating in this activity said that they didn't think extended time was fair. And that was a really clarifying moment to me because it really made me understand that like you don't really know what it's like to be taking a test having a learning disability if you don't have a learning disability yourself. So everybody who didn't really understand why extended time is fair and why it's so important to students with um, learning disabilities just didn't have that education on what a learning disability is and what that means and how the brain works differently with a learning disability. So it became really important to me that I created a space that was also working to break those misconceptions because those can be really harmful to the students with learning disabilities in the room. And listening to things like that something they have isn't fair when it's something that they need, that can be really harmful to their growth and their confidence in themselves.
Yeah, I think someone with a learning disability, that's very relatable. And just being so young, not understanding, I think is the worst part. And it's so easy to get so down on yourself and come to so many conclusions where you really have no idea what you're talking, no idea what you're thinking. Prior to creating Rise, were you lack a community like it to relate to?
So growing up, I think that I was lacking in understanding that having a learning disability didn't make me any less of a person or of a student. And I think that I did compare myself a lot to people around me and my progression and like the speed at which I could do things and study and read at a really early stage in my life. I think I was comparing myself, and I think that I was lacking the understanding of what it's like on the other side after kind of pushing past that initial struggle that you have when you have a learning disability. So I think I would have liked to have that understanding that once I do the work to get past that point, then it's smooth sailing per se, or at least in my experience. I was really lucky to have super supportive parents and teachers and friends and a school that actually could really support me in my learning disability. I never really had like a friend my age who was kind of like open about going through it and going through it with me. And I didn't really know anybody older than me that went through it and had that experience already. And I guess that would be something I wish I would have had.
Yeah, I definitely can agree. I mean, I always feel like I looked for like a mentor, just someone that was gonna tell me like it was gonna be okay, like it's gonna like it will there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel, like it's not gonna be all bad.
Yeah, especially I remember after school in middle school, I would come home and then have like speech therapy and reading like all these tutoring sessions on kind of that were necessary for me to kind of get to the level that people around me were at a super early age. So like instead of going to the park after school, I would be doing tutoring and learning to read when my friends could already read.
Yeah.
So like
Exactly. And I think it just also those like things like those tutoring sessions and those like extra help like tired me out so much and it made like school like such like a made me think of school as just like a bad like annoying place. Like I hated it so much and it was so hard for me and it was such like an unpleasant place. Like I feel like it was just it was the place where I struggled most and I never wanted to go. Who has been your biggest supporter in this initiative you've taken on?
So I definitely have a few big supporters. My mom has always been my biggest fan, biggest supporter with everything I do. She also was really influential in teaching me a lot about the education system. And when I talk about this to other people now and when I made the material for the website, she was really influential in teaching me how that works because she learned it all when she was navigating it for me when I was growing up. The Riley's Way staff are also my biggest mentors and supporters, and they're always, always, always there for me whenever I want support or want to talk. So I'm really lucky to have my mom and Riley's Way, and I also have a Rise team that I sit with for hours, and we talk about education inequities. We talk about material and programming for Rise, and they've also just become some of my best friends. So it's been really fun to work with them and do this together.
That's so nice that your mom has been able to help you. I think I can also really relate. My parents have been so helpful throughout like the process and like getting me the help that I need and like just like doing everything they can to help me. I really don't know where I would be without them. Throughout your academic career, did you feel you were commonly comparing yourself to your peers and classmates around you? If so, how did you slash do you currently overcome this obstacle?
I definitely compared myself to my peers. I don't do this anymore, but I definitely did this more in middle school and in lower school. I grew up looking at my friends and wishing I would think like them and be like them, and I was so jealous of the confidence that they had, and how confident they were just speaking in classes. And um, I realized like later in middle school that there was absolutely no reason why I couldn't be the student that I kind of wanted to be, and then I had this ideal student in my mind, and there was no reason why I couldn't be that person. And then from that understanding, I started to really push myself to kind of break out of the shell that I put myself in early middle school and lower school. And I would keep track of my participation in classes on post-it notes and like put a tally for every time I raised my hand. And I think that once I was able to kind of gain confidence in myself as a student and in the work and in my thoughts, that helped me gain a lot of confidence as a person. And I'm so happy I did that. I did that in like seventh or eighth grade, and I'm really happy I started to break out of my shell then because from that point I developed a lot more confidence as a person and in the work I was doing and in my thoughts and that just kind of set the stage for the person I am and the person I'm still becoming. And now I'm at a point in my life where I don't really look at anything that's in anything and be like, that's impossible or that's out of reach. And I'm also like proud of the person that I've become. So I'm really happy I was able to kind of at an earlier age, I was able to figure out that I wanted to break out of my shell.
That's awesome. What is the main message you are trying to relay with Rise?
So Rise's mission is to support those with learning disabilities and those who are supporting them, while also breaking harmful misconceptions about learning disabilities. So Rise provides information and support on how to navigate the education system because getting resources when you have a learning disability is really, really expensive and it's also not accessible to everyone. So we provide all the information you would need to know on how to get as much support as you possibly can. For example, how to get extended time in New York City or wherever your location is, or any resources or tips on how to support your child. And now we also want to be breaking misconceptions on learning disabilities through our blog discussing these topics. And we want to discuss topics such as extended time, and that a learning disability doesn't make you stupid or make you less of a student, and also one that you don't grow out of having a learning disability. So that highlights the significance of getting the support you need, instead of saying like, oh, the child will grow up and then it won't be a problem anymore, because it is something that you need to deal with, and you need to tackle it early on or as soon as you possibly can, so that that child can get to the point where they're thinking as best as they're to the best of their ability, and reading just like everybody else, and not really having those barriers as much anymore.
Mm-hmm. What's something that you would tell a younger child that is going through what you previously went through?
I would say that you're not any less of a person or a student because you're struggling in school, if you are struggling in school, or if anything, it makes your thought process more unique, and you have a lens on the world and on academics, for example, that no one else is able to have. I also think it's all about the mindset you have. So when I was younger, I would tell myself there's no reason why I can't be the person I want to be, or there's no reason I can't be the student I want to be. So achieving any goals that you have just takes dedication and commitment. So with work, there really isn't anything you can achieve or accomplish, even though that sounds so cheesy. It really is the truth.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's just like pushing yourself, like even though like it seems like a setback, like it's just like whatever you want, put your mind to, like you can do it. And I think even though if it's easier for some people, like that's just the way you were born. Like no one chose to do this. Like you got to deal with what you were given. Aside from all the hard work you do with Riley's Way and Rise, what's your favorite hobby or activity you enjoy partaking in during your free time?
So I really love art. I love to paint and do ceramics and write. And I have a really artistically inclined family. So I love trying new creative things with my family or with my friends, whether it's learning a new instrument or a new craft or cooking or playing a game. Like I love doing that with my family. And I also just love spending time with like the people that make me happy, and just like doing new things, like going to new places. That's probably my favorite thing to do.
That's so much fun.
What's your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby, funny you say it, I also think my favorite hobby is probably art.
Yeah.
I love digital art, and I recently started going to a new art studio, which
What,
is pretty fun.
what arts do?
Um, it's called Huntington Fine Arts.
Whoa, that sounds professional.
It's a pretty far drive. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me. I'm so impressed and inspired by this incredible community you've created. Make sure to check out Rise's website and see all of Gia's hard work.
Thank you, Charley.